Welcome to the season 5 of the B2B Community Builder Show. I'm your host and Chief Executive Connector, Pablo Gonzalez. Today, we are talking about the future of content. We're talking about content AI with a friend of mine. You are a returning guest to the show, Yakup. Before it was back when it was called the Chief Executive Connector. But since then, you have grown your expertise and your niche as a content AI expert. You are the Chief Content Officer for, what's it called? Content AI Nerd, something like that? The
AI Nerd.
AI Nerd. And the host of the Content AI Show, a karate man. You are, I think you're a black belt in Taekwondo. I know if anybody doesn't like what he's saying, he will sidekick you in the face. Yakup, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Pablo. Always a pleasure to meet you.
I want to welcome the community that's in the house. We got my buddy Gareth Beverly. He's here from Southampton, UK, and he's here because he loves Pablo. Thanks, buddy. We got Lee Bishop, who is the MVP of the Not Your Average Investor Show, joining us on the B2B Community Builder Show. We got Stacy Dobis back in the house. She says last week was awesome. We got Jesse Rittenhouse, my buddy from Miami. He's a green building expert. Kevin Bree, welcome, man. David Doherty, welcome to the show. He says he wanted to check it out after seeing me at HIMSS. David, good to see you in the house. Lynn's Florin, a good friend of mine from LA. Lynn's has a great podcast production company in LA. He is a graduate of the Relationship Flywheel Bootcamp, which we are launching season 2 here at the end of April. If you want to learn how to put on a live internet talk show that leads to community and podcasting and YouTube channel and all the social content that you can to lead to revenue, join the bootcamp. Plenty more where that came from. Just let me know. We'll help you sign up. Yakup, let's talk about you, man. You are the star of the show. My main question is, what's the deal with content AI, man? Like, why is it important, man? Like, why should people be focused on learning about content AI? What's happening right now?
Because it's freeing you up. It's leveraging your time. I have 24 hours a day. And if I want to leverage my time, I need to use AI technology because it helps me to produce more content, better high quality content, especially, and we will do this deeply and show this in a short demonstration, especially blog articles. You can produce much faster, high quality text production, which is so easy these days. This is the main benefit that you have. I'm saving time and I'm saving money. I'm making my clients happy and I make myself also happy because I'm saving time. That's the main benefit, the main reason. Yeah.
I mean, you're saving time in actually writing articles. Are you also saving time in kind of like the mental burden of how to, like, where does the time savings come from? Explain that to me.
So the production. So when I'm using this technology, instead of starting from scratch from an empty page, I'm starting with 60 or 70% of a blog article. So it's not like that I can copy paste everything, but I already have within a few minutes half of the blog article that I can prepare and also use for my own needs. So that's the main thing, that I'm not starting from scratch for the production. That's the important thing.
Okay, so it's basically, it's like a boost, right? Like, can you kind of explain to me the interfaces that are out there? And right now you're speaking specifically in blogging. Mm-hmm. From what I understand, there's, I've messed a little bit with what it used to be called Jarvis. Now they call it something else, conversion.ai. It's kind of this mixture of telling you ideas, either giving you ideas, or if you start writing, it kind of finishes it for you, or if you write an outline, it expands it all. Is that kind of how it works? Or is there a world where it's just completely writing for you? Like let's say the question's better. You said you need a mixture of human and AI. Explain to me what you mean by the mixture of human and AI and how it relates to using it.
Okay, that's a very good question. So, for example, I have a client and he's asking me, so which topics are important for me? Which topics should I create articles for him? And I have this gut feeling. I say, okay, your clients are this type of person. Okay, we have to produce articles about this kind of for this kind of target audience. So I mean, this is a no-brainer, but you have to listen to your own gut feeling about the topics and the tools that they are helping you to create the basis for your articles or for the content that you want to produce. So the questions like so definitions or general lessons or historical things that are relevant for your topic, AI can get you these things much faster. And when I compare my work, how I wrote articles in the past, I read other articles from other journalists and also other blog articles. I made my research, I interviewed people, and now the AI is already giving me the structure for the articles so that I have to fill it only. So that's to some degree, you have to listen to your gut feeling when it comes to the topics, because you know the best your target audience. That's the important thing. You know their needs and what is important for them, what are their problems, their struggles, and the AI is helping you to produce content on scale. That's the main thing, and where both sides are fitting in a very harmonious way.
You've said this a couple of times to me, this idea that AI helps you produce content at scale, right? So like the process you're describing right now is the idea of, instead of researching a bunch of things and instead of, you know, going through and creating these different comparisons and try to come up with these innovative topics, you're able to outsource that part to the AI. So is the AI, how does it work? Like, is it just out there comparing a bunch of like articles out in the internet to then feed into giving you examples and stuff like that? Or is it just, I don't know, like how does it actually work? Do you know the intricacies of
it? So this is the technology part. So the technology behind this is called GPT-3, which is founded by a company, OpenAI, which is founded by Elon Musk also. He's one of the founders. And what this tool is doing is it's searching the complete internet about your topic. So for example, if you want to write something about content marketing or content AI, then it's looking and checking, okay, what is already published about this topic? And then it's also comparing things and then creating something unique, because based on my search that I'm doing, based on the keywords, I get a very specific output to the keywords that I'm giving in. And this means everybody, even if you say, okay, I'm looking for content AI topics, and you, Pablo, you're also looking for content AI topics, but you will definitely get other results than I. So we will not create the same paragraph or the same blog article, because this tool is also learning from your search. It's collecting data about your search and the things that you're typing in, and constantly learning and getting better. That's the important thing. But this is a strength and a weakness. So this is a semantic search. So this means this tool is searching the complete internet and looking what is up. This means if you have a topic that is not well discussed or where you can't find content about, then the AI is not that strong. So I had one, for example, one attorney who wanted to write about patents. He was a patent attorney, and the AI couldn't produce that much content because it was too niche. The niche was too small, and it was too vague. So the AI couldn't produce it. So that's also some weakness. But using AI helped me a lot in my daily work.
Got it. So and this is another thing that you and I have talked about, and kind of what has stopped me from really diving deep, is this idea that I'm innovating, right? So like when I'm talking about the relationship flywheel, or I'm talking about relationship driven growth, where I'm talking about relationship out content and the things that I do differently and the ways that I've positioned myself, I can't just give content AI relationship driven growth and go write about it, right? But there is a way that I can do it if what I'm doing is talking about more common topics. So for example, I guess for me, I would assume that I could use it if I wanted to write a blog about what are the biggest problems people have when they hire content production companies, right?
Yeah.
Like that can write about it, and then maybe I can contextualize it to what I'm saying, or is there another way to train it to learn my own language?
So if you produce articles, it will learn automatically. So
Okay.
they have a comment. But in your case, I would say, uh, what are the biggest mistakes? What are people failing? Or what I thought about. So how to build strong relationship with content. So how to build that would be one. And the call to action would be something that you have to write yourself. So this is the human part, because the call to action would be come to my site or get in contact with me, and then I will explain you the relationship flywheel, how it works, or buy my book where I explain what this concept is all about. So I think you have to, if you invite, so if you're building something, or if you're creating some new expression or something, the AI will give you some baseline about or topics that are discussed, but you have to think about what is the strong call to action at the end of the article. Yeah.
Cool. So what I would like to do is I want to go into, we're going to have a demo session, right? Like you're going to write a blog for somebody here. So I want you, if you're watching right now, you're in the chat, I would love for you to put in the Q&A a blog that you would want to write about selfishly, like make it about your company, right? Like tell me, Kevin asked for on building a greener Colorado, or Gareth, how you use drones for whatever you want to use it. We're gonna pick one out, and Yakup is gonna write an article for you so you can see how these tools work. But as you all are thinking of what topic you want him to write about, I'm going to be a little bit of selfish, and I'm going to ask him about my own content production process until we got somebody ready to go. But you're going to walk away from here with a blog written by a computer. So, well, by part human, part computer, which is what Yakup is. For me, my content production process, we're talking a lot about blogs, right? Mm-hmm. When I think of content, I think of this idea of the show that I produce that I then chop down into micro content pieces that I give to people as assets, that I post on LinkedIn and tag people so that I get organic distribution. I think of the podcast that I make after, and I think of YouTube. Blog is kind of like the last thing. So I would love to reverse engineer from, would I be able to take my transcripts of a show and put that into content AI and have it spit out a blog article about like 15 minutes of our conversation? Is that doable?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I've focused mainly so far on text production. So this is GPT-3, what I mentioned, is very strong on language, so written language. On video content, that's the next level. So I'm using another tool, Pictory, but I would not say use this tool, but I'm using it because I think it has much potential, and I also interviewed the CEO in my show. And this tool, for example, you have a blog article and you are putting this blog article on Pictory, you're uploading this, and Pictory is using AI to create paragraphs, and then can create a short image video. So it's like, do you know how to build relationships with content? And then you see somebody who is shaking, two people who are shaking hands, and then you see the text below the picture. So do you get the image that I want to draw? So it's like creating an image film out of your blog article that you produce. Okay. And that's what's possible, but it's not like that. I will say I would not try to sell this to a client, because it's not at that level that it looks really professional. Video content is currently too complex that you can just give it to an AI and say, okay, just do it. But text production is definitely on the level where you can use it already today. Does it answer your question?
Yeah. You answered what my second question was going to be, is where it's at with video. And I think we're going to end this call kind of talking about what tools are coming and what are the different kind of like options that are going to happen in the future for content and why you want to get into it today. my first question was, would I be able to take the transcription of this conversation and put it into a content AI tool and it then take it from conversational to blog post?
I didn't have that kind of technology so far. So that's yeah, I think I know what you mean, but so far not. No.
Okay. All right. So then let's contextualize it. Let's change it to this. Why green building certification? Right? Because I know that Kevin at Redty, they do all lead homes. I know that Jesse is doing all the different green building certifications in the commercial space. So I think if we write something about green building certifications are profitable for developers.
Okay. I just typed in the keywords just before we jump in how to do it. Just quick intro. So this is a tool that I'm using since 1.5 years or something, called Writer, and you can select a language. So I'm mostly producing in English and in German language. You can select the tonality. So how it should feel. So what feeling should it transport if you read the article? Mostly I'm inspirational and joyful and passionate, these three. And yeah, you can also choose yourself, okay, what do we want to create? I mean, this is the basic thing. So do you need a business idea pitch or blog section writing? A call to action is also very important. Copywriting framework, AIDA model. Do you need emails, Facebook or LinkedIn ads, Twitter ads, interview questions, job descriptions, product descriptions, profile bio for your LinkedIn, so SEO meta title, SMS and notification. So also specific for video channel description, video idea for YouTube, testimonials and review. So there are many possibilities. And this is one tool, okay? And I used so far, I think, around 8 or 9 tools. And they are not all, they look all different, but when it comes using it, they all look some kind like this. So you can choose what kind of content you need. You can choose the tonality. You have something where you type in the keywords that are important for you. And then also the text section where you produce the articles. That's basically how these tools are all built. Okay.
Cool. So let me pause you real quick there, Yakup. So like in the different things that you just shows different ways that I can use it, right? So like right now we're about to do a blog article, but I could very easily use this content tool to create the description for the show notes of the show that I'm going to publish on YouTube. Or if I want to invite somebody to this call, right? Like if I'm producing my own online talk show or have a webinar coming up, I can ask the content tool, be like, hey, webinar invite for content AI tools. And then I put it to email, and then it writes an email inviting people to it, right? So I want to give people kind of like context of all the different ways that you can do it, because at the end of the day, I'm really putting it together for myself. So continue, my friend, go ahead.
If you, for example, if you need, I use also Craftly AI, and I interviewed also the CEO of Craftly AI, and you can, if you need song text, if you're an artist and you need song text inspiration, this tool can also create song text, and also good breaking up messages if you want to break up. This is also something that Craftly AI is known for. Okay, anyway. Okay, so these are the things. So I just typed in sustainable development, building, why green building, certification is important. Oh no, it's all green building, profitable. Okay, so I have max of 100. Okay, let's see what happens. So blog outline and blog ID and the outline. So I just pushed the button. So why green building is the future of sustainable development. Okay. The benefits and notable trends of sustainable buildings. What's the role for building technology in a sustainable world? Sustainable development and the role of building technology. So you have the headline, you have the sub-headlines, and what I now can just push is creating a paragraph. but normally you also see keywords that are under the subheadline. But okay, anyway, just let's try. Okay, the benefits of notable trends of certified sustainable buildings. Sustainable buildings reduce the negative impacts on the environment, increase worker productivity and happiness, and improve occupant health. Certified sustainable buildings.
So Yakup,
yeah.
is there a way? So I'm reading this right now, and it's kind of just talking about like the benefits of sustainable building while we're trying to make it more like ROI, right? Like if Jesse and Kevin are trying to sell this thing to investors of like why you need to invest in it, is there like a quick tweak now that we see this that we can now change it to be more about ROI of sustainability? Like, do we change the keywords? Is there anything like that?
Yes, let's change it. Sustainable development and the ROI for business owners, something like
for
this.
Developers.
For developers.
Yeah.
And then we type in keywords, developers, ROI, sustainable. Okay, now let's see what happens.
So it takes a little while to kind of like calculate. Is that what it's doing? It's thinking?
Yeah, it's just checking. Sustainable development is an investment that will bring a return in the future. This section talks about how developers can invest in sustainable development and get a return on investment. We are living in an era where we are seeing a significant rise in the number of entrepreneurs and startups, which has led to an increased demand for developers. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's like the AI and the human. Okay, so you still, it's not like that I'm just copy pasting this and then publishing it on LinkedIn. You still need somebody who is in charge of this and who's checking everything, who's maybe also including links to podcasts or to YouTube videos or things like that, so that this is going to be a real article. So I mean, I have no idea about sustainable development and certification. So first of all, I would also check myself, what are the topics? And then I already have some keywords in my mind, and then I would use these keywords to improve the article so that it goes into a specific direction. So yeah, that's an iterative process. So every blog article, sometimes I'm very, very fast with the article. Sometimes it takes a lot of more time to improve it.
Got it. So this makes sense, man. And by the way, so like I'm reading this article and I can tell that the AI is taking the word developer and it's assuming that we're talking about like a programmer and not a real estate developer, right? Like that's pretty clear to me. So with expertise, you gotta go in and do it and keep tweaking it, right? So real estate developer, perfect. So now with that, how would that change it? This is interesting. So now it's in, I'm narrating for the future podcast audience here, but like we updated some words. Now it's a new paragraph. Developers are the backbone of any company. They create and innovate to make sure that companies not left behind. They're the ones who are always on their toes. So again, it feels like.
Yeah, it feels still like
a software
programmer, some software developer.
So let's try a different topic, right? Let's try what kind of ROI can an organization. So, this is selfish for me and for Linz, right? But what kind of ROI can you generate from a podcast? Is there, how would you do that? Since I know that this is up your area of expertise. ROI, podcast host, content marketing. Okay.
Return on investment. Entrepreneur.
Business podcast. Maybe
podcast.
Okay. So now I'm seeing, based on the keywords that you put in, it has to do it. It's kind of still garbage in, garbage out, right? Like the better words that you put in, the better that it's going to relate to what you're saying. And that Definitely. Now you put those keywords, and what do you do then? You write for me?
Yeah, let's do two variants. So, and also inspirational. Yeah. Passionate. Let's do it passionate.
Why don't we do entertaining, man? Since it's more my time. Passionate is good. I'm passionate too. Just throw it out there. We're getting
So
some
let's see.
getting some good feedback in the chat. Gareth is saying that he's been experimenting with Writer and he likes it so far. Lee is also saying the same thing. Kevin is seeing that he sees the benefits, understands the friction with the word developer causes, but likes the idea. This is cool, man. So we're learning here.
Okay, normally, so I was a little bit concerned when I saw the subheadlines in this first example because there were no keywords. Normally, it looks like this, that I have the headline and the subheadlines and also directly keywords. So this sounds like the right direction, how to use a podcast as a marketing tool for business.
Perfect.
Let's
okay, so just narrating for the podcast audience, right? Can you put it back on there so I can kind of it came out with a headline that says the complete guide to ROI from podcasting and why it's important for your brand. That sounds really good. Another headline, how to use podcasts as a marketing tool for business. And then the keywords were best podcast for business owners, business podcast, marketing podcast. And now it spits out. So now you like that headline the best. You highlight that, and then it spits out some extra words and says, podcasts are a great way for business owners to share their expertise and build their personal brand. They are also a great way to attract customers and generate leads. The best podcast for business owners will have an engaged audience, be relevant to your industry, and offer valuable content that is easy to digest. So that's kind of like the intro paragraph of a blog that you would write, trying to convince people to start a podcast, right? Okay,
definitely. Cool. So how to choose a good podcast host and how they can help brand marketing efforts. Also, so I think this is relevant. Content marketing with podcasting, reach your audience with engaging content. Would be, I mean, yeah, podcasting.
And how long? So now that is 2 paragraphs that it gave out. How would you, how would you expand that? Let's say we want to expand that first one.
This one?
Yeah.
This first one?
Yeah.
I would do a new subheadline. So, or I would look, okay, what examples or use cases can I implement into it? But this is not something that I would give it to the AI, because the AI is not that good in giving you use cases, except of being in the literature. So if you need something from our time now, from our current time, I would always check, okay, what are journalists writing? What use cases are they? And can I use them and implement it into the article? But what we can do is, this is something new, continue writing. And it's expanding.
Oh, okay. So for you, friend that's on the podcast, he just highlighted it, put continue writing, and now it's spitting out even more stuff. And now it's saying the following podcasts are business focused and are for a variety of relevant topics. And then it gives you like a list of things to do. This is cool, man. All right. So let's talk. So now that we're kind of understanding the best use for this thing, the chat's kind of agreeing that this is the great value is just kind of getting over the writer's block, getting you started, not looking at an intimidating white page. So if you already have stuff that you're going to write, this kind of like lubricates the engine a little bit and gets you going. I like that a lot. Is that how you use it?
Definitely. So it's like I said, 60% of, or at least minimum 50% of the article is already on the paper, and I can focus on the details. That's the important thing. Got
it. Cool. All right. So now my original thought is out of the water, right? Because I'm lazy and I literally just want to give it a transcription and have it go. So it's still going to take some writing. Does it also autocorrect? Like if I write a paragraph, am I able to just like optimize it for, if I write the body of something, can I then, and let's say I have it in social media caption form, right? Like I just wrote a caption for a micro content video of you explaining what content AI is all about. I write that. Can I then highlight that and say, now make this into more of a blog, more of a show description, stuff like that? So you can change contexts of something that you've already done? Yeah, but you still have to put the keywords inside, but it's possible, yes. Okay, so you got to put the keywords in, but it can kind of cross contextualize. And I'm always looking for that, right? So like if you are making content, always be looking for how to get more juice out of the content, right? Like that's one of the things that we do here of creating a podcast, and we create social media bites, we create articles about stuff. It's not going to write a newsletter for you. Can you Can you tell me a little bit about why you use Writer and what are the other tools out there that one can look at and what your evaluation is of the different ones?
Yeah, so I started with, so basically the reason why I started at all with AI is I got a pitch. So somebody pitched me who has a similar story like me. So he worked as a journalist and then he started the software company and is basically selling this AI technology to other companies. And I thought, why I'm not doing this myself? This was the starting point, the question. So I bought Writer this try on AppSumo because it was a lifetime purchase that I can do, and I said, okay, I just give it a try. And Writer was the starting point, and I saw much potential because it just helped me to structure my business day. It became just much easier. So Writer was one. Content Forge is another one. I also use Jasper. I also have a combined purchase of of Jasper and another tool, but I forgot the name. Yeah, Jasper is also fine. Yeah, it's but I
What's the
like
difference
Writer. Yeah.
between them? Like when you're evaluating a content AI tool, what are you looking for yourself?
So I'm producing mostly blog articles. So it should be easy to produce the articles. So for example, Content Forge, you have to put the target group and who's your audience, and it's like a formula you have to fill out every step until you can create the actual content. The paragraphs are not that long, so it takes me much more time to I have to invest more time to have the length that I need. And Writer was the perfect fit in my case because it was fast and it gave me the results. So the 600, 800 words per blog article. That was the main reason. When it comes to validation, I think user interface is very important. So how easy is it to use it? Because if it's too complicated, I will not use it. So one thing. So for example, I used another tool from a startup, and I mean I interviewed this guy also, but I said the keyword section is just too short. I can just type in 2 or 3 keywords and that's it. On Writer, I have 100. Yeah, I can type in a whole sentence basically, and on this other tool it was just too little. So these are the little things, but at the end of the day, it saves me more time when I can use the perfect tool.
Got it. Yeah. So you're basically evaluating for, sounds like, ease of use, how quick it actually moves, and how much you can intuitively apply it to whatever you're already working with. So you got to have a use case for what you're doing in order to evaluate the tool, which I think makes a lot of sense, right? Like I feel like a lot of people just go on AppSumo, they're like, oh yeah, this thing, and I think I can buy it and then use it, right? But like the right way to do this is kind of like reverse engineer from what you're trying to do and then be able to test it, right?
Yeah, so give it a try. I mean, I also started trying things. I mean, my first purchase on AppSumo for Writer was, I think, $40 or something, which is okay, just not that big investment. And it created new clients for me that are working with me, and I bought a 1 year. So I have 10,000 words. That's that day back then. Now I have an unlimited account, so I can produce as much as I want. And I also need this.
Yeah, that's another thing that you're identifying is that most of these tools have like an opt-in that you can like mess around with it and then you can increase coverage, right? Like I feel like that's a likely mistake that people make. They're like, oh, or at least I would make, right? Like, oh, I need the pro plan because I'm going to do 1,000 blogs, but I can just kind of like sign up for the entry package, start small. If it's intuitive, if it works, keep going, right?
They always for especially startups, they offer also free trial so that you can use it. So I had with Writer, I had 10,000 words each month. So this was around 6 or 7 blog articles each month. And then I realized, okay, on 20th every month, I was getting excited because, yeah, my credit is filling again. And yeah, after 2-3 months, I realized, okay, I have to purchase a 1 year deal. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of cool, right? Because if it's giving you that fake scarcity, it's almost helping you gamify it for yourself, right? Because if you're just like,
Yeah.
oh man, I got to hit this limit, and when I hit this limit, then I got to do something else.
Yes.
That's kind of a good way to build a habit. Let's talk strategy, man. So I know you're somebody that you believe in quantity, right? Like you believe in putting out as many blog articles as possible because you're going to get found in the search engines.
Yes.
Can you kind of tell me how you go about that? Like how many articles do you aim to put out a day? What is a good, like, Jesse and Gareth, and they're heading up marketing and thinking of marketing for their companies right now. What's a good kind of like aim to do, and where are you distributing the stuff that you're making on AI?
Mm-hmm. So for me personally, I'm distributing on my LinkedIn page and
Mhm.
also on different publications like AI Journal, which is an English publication, and also on Entrepreneur Magazine, the European version. That's mainly where I'm focused on. And what I recommend always my clients is once a week a blog article. That's really achievable. This is not unrealistic. If you and I, we also go live on a weekly basis. If you go live on a weekly basis, you already have the material to produce out from this live session, the blog article, and also include the link from the live session into the blog article. So cross-channel marketing. And so when I started, I'm always try to break things. So I said, okay, every day one blog article. And I did this for around 1 week or something. And this AI publication contacted me and said, okay, Yakup, you're publishing articles about AI. Do you want to become an author on the AI journal? So this was an interesting result, and I thought, okay, that's cool. That works for me. I want to implement this also for my clients so that they also get these results, because then the whole thing makes really fun, because when they succeed, I automatically succeed. My clients are like, Yakup, we want to mention also your name because you're producing so much. I said, no, that's okay. I want your success. Okay, if you succeed, then I will succeed automatically. Don't worry about me. So
Oh,
that's
man.
so I would definitely say once a week one blog article is realistic and achievable with an AI tool. And if you already produce content, I would always try to combine it with the video content that I'm producing, because written
Mm.
things, written language establishes you as a thought leader. That's something that you have to always be aware. If you want to establish yourself as the expert in a specific area, just publish articles on a regular basis, once a week or every day. And then you become automatically the expert on this field, sustainable development, for example. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Okay. So like let's say somebody like Lee Bishop, right? He's a real estate investor, and he's going to mess around with content AI. He's going to publish an article a week. He doesn't have the pipeline of like putting it in Entrepreneur. Would you recommend he publishes one to his LinkedIn and then two to his webpage? And then are there any other kind of like
Mhm.
places that he can submit to, or things that you can give advice to of like how to get the word out a little bit more of the articles that you're already writing?
Yeah, I'm always a fan of more is a good strategy when it comes to content. So it a little bit depends on the strategy that he had so far. So in my case, LinkedIn is the place. Because I'm generating clients from LinkedIn, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I just feel good there, and so that's also what I'm suggestion and giving recommendation to my clients, that they push more on LinkedIn, because it has so much more potential for the coming years, in my opinion. So
So
this
are
is
these business articles on LinkedIn, or are they newsletters that you're publishing on LinkedIn, or that you're
you
telling
can
for your
do
clients?
both. You can do both. So I do both. So you can publish your article and also say, okay, this is my real estate newsletter that I
Mhm.
send once a week or once a month. You can do both. And then if people, this is by the way a real good question, because I started my newsletter, and within 2 weeks or something, I had 1,200 subscribers out of nothing. And all these people, when I publish an article, they immediately get an email about this article. And you can also include call to actions, call me if you need help, and things like that. So this is something valuable, in my opinion, to implement. But back to your question. So I would not just take the one blog article and publish it on LinkedIn, and the same article on your website. I would always try to change things. So because otherwise, SEO will not help you. So this means I would change the picture, I would change the headline, the subheadlines, and maybe also call to action. So not immediately. So if your goal is to push your website, if you generate class from your website, then I would focus on the website. It's a little bit more the question: what is your current strategy when it comes to client acquisition and marketing efforts? But I always recommend LinkedIn. That's my place.
Got it. So you recommend LinkedIn because that's where you build your business. Somebody like Lee, he's real estate's heavy on Facebook, right? So like he can like write an article on his website or write an article on his LinkedIn and then post that link in a Facebook group, in the different like investor Facebook groups. And to your point, written content makes you an expert, right? Like I've done a lot of like yabbing on Zoom calls and repurposing content. And people see my face all the time, but there's really something about reading somebody's written word that, you kind of like internalize it. You have to like really focus on it. You can't really multitask, scroll and watch 15 seconds of what I say and then something else. If you click on an article, chances are you're going to read every word of it, which I think is kind of where that advantage piece is. So with that being said, this idea that
Yes.
You're now able to use the content AI to start the article. You're able to use the content AI to create different variations and different words so that now you can make multiple articles and make a version for your blog post, a version for LinkedIn, a version for Entrepreneur Magazine if you're a big baller like yourself. And what's the future of all this like content AI stuff, right? Like I see kind of like, I see this becoming table stakes to a certain extent, right? Like if a machine can help you write and 4x your writing output, then whoever is not writing at 4x the original output is kind of going to be in trouble, right?
Yes, definitely. So see the AI as your teammate. So as your coworker who's working 24/7 for you. This is going to be this year. If you don't use AI proactively, I don't mean I use this tool and I didn't know that they use AI. That's not what I mean. I'm saying, what AI tools do you have in your niche? If you're a real estate broker or real estate agent, what kind of AI tools are there out that makes your life easier? That doesn't mean not only content, but what are the tools that are out that can help you save time? If you don't think about this, you will be in big trouble in the next, maybe not this year, but next year, in the next 2-3 years, because you're giving away the competitive advantage. And I see this as the mission that I push this, so that every marketer already is soon using this for their own content strategy, because otherwise they can't compete. They can't compete. I have teammates. I have an AI teammate. I have somebody, some tool that is automating postings for me. I mean, I'm posting, and people are saying, "How can you post so much?" I mean, yeah, I'm automating it. I'm using AI. That's the main thing, and people are coming in to me organically. I'm not running any ads. So if you don't use it, you will really have a struggle, because your competition will use it, definitely. If they find about it, they will use it for their own business.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. It's like having another teammate, right? It's like
Yes.
not using that tool in your tool belt to kind of help you along. And it's a really cost efficient teammate to invest in. I would love to, if anybody has any questions, start putting them in the Q&A or the chat, and we can get into it. Lee asked a pretty good question here. How much content do you post in a letter for your LinkedIn? Like, is there an optimal length for a LinkedIn kind of like article or post or things like that? How do you consider that stuff?
So minimum would be around 600 words. That's the minimum. You can do bullet points so that it looks easy. So if you, from a copy standpoint, if you just scroll through the article, just you have to imagine we are reading so many emails. So you have to come directly to the point, and the AI is helping you to create very simple language. That's the cool thing, and also structuring it. So 600 words would be the minimum. Yeah.
Cool.
But there's no perfect length. I think there's no perfect length because it depends on your topic. Also, yeah.
Saying there's no perfect length for the topic. It's just kind of like get your point across and try to do it succinctly. And the AI helps simplify the language so that people can understand. Like I have that problem. I'm too verbose, right? Maybe the word verbose is too verbose, but like I speak with big words and I put them in and I feel like I lose a lot of people. So maybe AI for someone like me can help me, simplify it a little bit and get the point across, right?
I mean, it's not an easy task. So you have these ideas in your head and you have to put it on paper on a simple way. This is something that I worked as a digital editor for different publications, and this is a task that you have always as a journalist, that you have these ideas and you have to put it in a way that everybody understands it. This is not an easy thing. So, and the cool thing is AI helps you. And you, my friend, be always like you're speaking. That's the good thing. Always be you, my friend.
ABP, always be Pablo. All right. Gareth has a good question here. Do you see any risks or concerns to using these AI content tools?
Yes. So AI risk. I have a colleague in Singapore who's he's a fund manager and also an AI risk manager to some degree. And so there are legal issues. So for example, when it comes to HR is using, this is not specifically content, but so HR is also using AI to filter submissions that you get from people. And there's always this risk of bias. So because at the end of the day, the AI is programmed by developers and they have some bias. So there were legal issues because the AI didn't choose people with different color, and the business owners get in serious trouble. So there are some troubles to this, and this is the topic of AI governance. So how to create a structure that you also control the AI and make sure that these risks are not that big. So this is a very interesting topic, but I would not say that I am expert. So that's the reason why I have this colleague in Singapore, and we're also going to do a separate live show, my Content AI show, about this topic. Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah,
but
yeah.
Very good question.
Yeah. Gareth likes to get nerdy with it. I know him. He says he thinks he read about that, and it depends on the data set used in the training model,
yes.
right? So
yes, definitely.
Again, garbage in, garbage out. And what we've been talking about all along is this idea that you're not just going to let this machine put stuff out for you. There's always going to be a level of like quality control, whether it's the written word, whether it's the pictures that are out there, making sure that you're adding human sensibilities and finding the right mix. Jesse's got a really relevant question. Will AI take over the world and replace us all?
So yes, that's the Robocop, the Terminator scenario that is also very popular within the media. And yeah, so the short answer is no. Because so if I look at how AI is helping me in my business, I mean, no, let's start with this. When I worked as an agency, I listened to these AI presentations, and I was the only one who was excited about AI, because my colleagues and my boss, other people, they were terrified because they thought, well, no, the AI, it's not ready, because they thought the AI will replace them. But I thought, that's awesome. I have to learn this. I have to implement this. I think it's a mindset thing. That's the first thing that I want to say about this. That if you see it as a tool, because it is a tool that you use, then there is no fear that it will replace me. This is the first thing. The other thing is, I'm doing so many things as a content manager, content AI manager, and AI is just not capable of doing this. So I'm choosing pictures, I'm checking video snippets, I'm checking the subtitles, I'm creating newsletter, personalized, humorful newsletter that really touch feeling. That this can't be produced by an AI. So my answer is no. But this is a question that people will always have, which is good, and we should also discuss about this. But I think no. It's a tool. Yes, Garrett is writing. It's a tool in the toolbox. Yeah.
Yeah, tool in the toolbox. He gets the same thing in the drone industry, right? Like I think it's a very parallel discussion of what we're talking about. Yakup, I think this has been great, man. Is there anything else? Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you think is relevant to this topic? Stuff that people need to know about, anything like that?
I think you did a great job, like always, my friend, my co-bro, my content brother. I would just say, just give it a try to everybody who's listening to this. I mean, instead of spending a coffee a day on Starbucks, invest it in an AI tool that you can use for content creation. This would be my advice, because to some degree, it's really cheap these days to start with this. Just try a thing and see what happens, and use it in your own marketing efforts. So this would be my final statement. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's your final statement, but you got one more question here from Jesse. So he puts, since AI blog article writing programs like Writer are made to help us by searching articles online, will it find the most successful search terms for SEO, or the most popular search terms to aid in SEO? I mean, that sounds almost like an SEM rush kind of thing, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So this is a very question. But this is something that I should definitely check again. But I would say, the AI is already creating SEO optimized articles. So there is, in the future, I believe there's no more need for SEMrush or search metrics or things like that. And Gerrit is pushing some writer resources. Okay, he's answering.
There's an integration.
He's answering the question.
Scared an integration between SEMrush and Writer. Cool.
Make it enjoyable for your target audience. So this is the important thing, and that's the reason why I also believe that SEO is going to be not a big deal in the coming years, and that you should more focus on the production and on the content production. Yeah, that's really what I believe in.
That's another big takeaway right there, right? Like, don't use the AI tools to help you make the content better, not to make it more SEO optimized, because SEO is kind of becoming commoditized, right? Like right now, I know that when I search for something, it's like I find all these articles that look the same that don't tell me shit. It's like I see like 7 headlines that I know are the keywords, and then I know that they each have 4 sentences. And even though I'm searching for like, hey, is this mole on my back dangerous? It's like, what are moles? Are moles on back do this? And it's never actually answering my question. So like the content that's going to win is actually content that solves a problem, not the stuff that ranks in an algorithm. And you're going to win based on the relationship you have with that content publisher, right? Like if the publisher is known for somebody that solves your problem, you're going to trust it more and less, what first page of Google is going to tell you, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I would sign it. So focus on the problem that you're solving, focus on the people that you want to help, and forget. I had in my podcast that I had in the past, I had one SEO guy, and he said we should kill SEO. He said, because he was annoyed about all these topics and all this algorithm topics and the things that they are speaking about. He said, just get rid of it. Just focus on the people. That's the important thing.
Amen to that, bro. Focus on the people.
Yes.
I'm all in. Yakup, where do people find you, man? They just heard your brilliance here for an hour on the podcast. People on the show were hanging out. Connect with you on LinkedIn. The moment you engage Yakup in LinkedIn, you are friends for life. The guy does not go away. He's great. ContentAIShow.com. That's where you find them. I really want to thank the members of our community that are still here with us. Gareth Beverly, Jesse Rittenhouse, Lori Goldman, Linz Florin, Ray Byers. Ray, I didn't hear from you much in the chat, but I really appreciate you coming by. And Yakup, I just want to say, man, you are a guy that always gives great value, right? Like from the moment we met, I think it was Brian Bogert introduced the two of us, and ever since then, I always see you in my content. You're always helping. You're always willing to share, and I really really appreciate you for that, man. And you did the same thing today. You showed up. You shared your expertise, and I really appreciate you taking some time, man. And I hope people connect with you.
Yes, thank you for the invitation, Pablo. And I mean, this is since I know you, I also everything changed. I know the Lewis brothers and a bunch of other people, and we're constantly chatting. And I think this content lifestyle that you can get, that you build really deep relationships with people all around the world, and you don't have to travel. I mean, yes, I'm in Germany, you're in Florida, but still we are chatting and helping each other, and that's the cool thing. Yeah.
I think that's the next swag I make. Hashtag content lifestyle, man. I like that.
Yes.
You're the one that taught me that concept, content lifestyle, man. When you really build it into your lifestyle, it just becomes a part of you. It's become a part of me. It's become a part of you. And
Yes.
and I can attest to this idea that you really do make these deep friendships, right? Like many people that I connect with on this show, that I connect with on LinkedIn, and I connect with through podcasting, I end up becoming real friends. And it's been since the pandemic, so I haven't met a lot of them, but I have met some of them. And the moment that you meet in person, you're like really good friends already, which is something that was just never never available. Garrett says he's ahead of the curve. He's been AOL chatting since he was 15. I love it. Love it. Cool, man. All right, Yakup, I will see you on LinkedIn. My friends, thank you for showing up. Till the next time. See you next Monday.